So a couple of things I'd like you to do, because I know we are that blended class, and so I'm going to record some of this. Some things we'll record, and if you forget, sometimes that's a great way to do it too. You're all seniors. You're all about to graduate. First thing I want to make sure is, has anybody not applied for graduation that should have? Let me express my shock at that, Tim. But okay. So if you haven't applied for graduation process is changing a little bit. So make sure you've gone on, and now they've got an online form. They still want your, I think it's up to $50 for a graduation fee. Make sure you've done that. And if you can, make sure you're at graduation. Because if nothing else, I can't wait to see Justin with his head shaved at graduation. You going to do it before graduation? Oh. Are you going to send us pictures at least? Okay. So, what all are we going to do? And so this week, we're going to start, we introduced you to the idea, and some of you, in fact, I have a couple students online, and actually in here, somebody who's working really as a systems analyst. I think that's what your job title is, isn't it, Amber? No? No? Not yet? Not yet, okay. So we'll get you there, and we're going to talk about the idea of systems analysis. We work with projects. So some of these ideas, depending on your course loads, you may have already seen. Some of you may have already been involved in some of these details and tasks. Some of it may be new and different, but pieces that you're going to take out of project management we're going to see in here. Maybe courses out of database, maybe web design, depending on your project. Maybe all new, maybe something out of programming, you're going to program something. So there's a lot of variability in here, and we look at different things and we say, this is what's going to fit our project. So the first thing I would like you to do, so those of you in class, I know it's kind of weird, I know all of you, but a lot of the online students, I know you guys have probably had some classes with them, but if you would go in the discussion board and introduce yourself with a picture, just so we all know who everybody is in here. Because there is a possibility I will even allow some teams in this semester, because I think I have 23 total students, and that's a lot for this, and there may be some projects that people could come up with that lend themselves to some teams. So, step A. So remember this week, there is also a quiz, discussion board, and an assignment. And that's kind of the format for every week. Is there some kind of a quiz, discussion board? And so we're going through the book, trying to get you to pull some knowledge out of the book. Has everybody bought the book already? And hopefully you bought it not from our bookstore. Did anybody buy it at our bookstore? No? Okay. You're seniors, you know better. Okay. I don't know what it is at our bookstore. I originally picked this one. Really, all the systems analysis books are pretty much the same. They cover the same stuff. And so I picked the one that, quite frankly, I could get Academus to get us as cheaply as possible. And we know that bookstores are kind of an interesting market. So there's a quiz, discussion board, and an assignment. And there's also, we're going to start talking a lot about that project piece and how we start working on that. So week one, first thing we want to do is talk about ye old syllabus. And so I also have the syllabus available online. Because I got yelled at about my printing, I have an online copy, and I have a copy. If you really need one, I will let you peek at. So a couple of things, and most of you already know this, so this is kind of a rehash for most of you guys. My office is right here beside the computer lab. If you're off campus and you come to our campus, if you can find TJ Majors, it's pretty easy to find. I generally respond best to anything except this office telephone. And in fact, we have gone away and gotten rid of voicemail in our department. It goes, if we don't answer the phone directly, it goes to our secretary. Well, that'll eventually get to us. The easiest way, if you can't find any other way to get information to me, is the 1320, 957-1320 number. Not only can you leave a message if you really need to, but you can also send text messages to that one. It's a little slower to reply. It's a Google Voice, but it'll pop up in my Gmail and say, hey, I got a text. So I'll get it pretty quickly. The email address, goes to my phone, and I try to reply really quickly. So if you don't hear back from me within a couple of hours, well, if you're doing it in the middle of the night, I might be sleeping. But I try to reply back pretty quickly, and most of you found that out. If you don't get it occasionally, if it's coming out of something like a Hotmail, seems to be the one that triggers it a lot, it gets dumped into our spam folder and goes nowhere. So the textbook is listed in here, Systems Analysis and Design in a Changing World. I believe there's actually a newer edition. If you've bought that one, I think you're probably fine too. And some other tools you may need in here. So you're going to need a word processor. I don't care which, and hopefully you've discovered that, because every semester I still see the emails coming out to students saying you must have Microsoft Office to take all these courses. We all know that's not true, right? So any word processor, you probably will need something like an Excel, a spreadsheet tool, and then depending on the project, you may need other software or other items. So you may need a compiler if you're doing a software project. You may need web tools. That will be dependent on what we need and what you have for your account. One thing to remember is that Microsoft Imagine, formerly called DreamSpark, formerly called MSDN, we're still a member of. And so if you guys need some tools, especially on Microsoft tools, if you need .NET tools, they're all available for free. Microsoft Project's available for free in there. So take advantage of those. Visio's in there, so there's several others of those. If you are off campus, you will need some form of a webcam, because we will do our final interviews with Skype, and we will also do some other things as we go through the semester, some one-on-one meetings. It's a handy way to get at least a visual presence in there. And so we're going to look at some tools for that. But you don't necessarily need to go buy some high-end webcam. If you have a laptop, it's got some kind of a webcam normally. And the $30 little cheapies work really well for this. You don't need the monster video camera to utilize for this. So this is kind of the culmination. So you should have had all of our courses, and we don't really have a ton of information systems classes. So this is kind of that umbrella that says, now can you put all those pieces together? So we're going to talk about then a systems-related project. So you need to obviously then be aware of the terminology. So what do I expect out of you? So you're going to have individual research, team reference, textbooks assignments, lecture, hopefully not a whole lot because I'm going to make you guys read. And then you're going to have a project. So I warn you up front, 400 level classes tend to have projects that take up a lot of time. And I know we're all pressed for time, but you'll find it. You'll be able to pull it off. It also requires you to work with some kind of a business entity or nonprofit organization. So you have to go out not only and do the project, but you have to identify what the project is you're going to do. And so in the first couple of weeks, we're going to start narrowing that down. So you need to put your thinking caps on. And I have a couple of projects in my back pocket for organizations that want things that we can also throw out there. And I have a couple of internal little projects. But I really want to see what you guys have, because maybe you're already at an employer that has a project that they are undertaking. Or you have a prospective employer or a community organization you want to work with. So there's a project discussion board, and then we're going to have a dialogue then of those processes. So when is everything due in this class? Well, because that project takes a while to evaluate and kind of think about and synthesize our data, everything in here is going to be due. There will be nothing due after Friday of Dead Week. So Friday of Dead Week, that gives me the finals week to do your interviews and the final pieces. So your finals week is an interview. It's not a panic moment, because by then you've already got your project done. It's kind of that recap, your analysis, my analysis, and we discuss it. So that's based on doing an interview in that last piece. So how do we grade it? You're essentially worth 830 points. There's weekly quizzes, and then the project, including the interview, is worth 220 points. So a quarter of your points come from there. 150 in discussion boards, and then 180 in other assignments. I know some of the assignments also relate back to that project. And then we use the traditional 90, 80, 70 grading scale so that hopefully you guys are all on that 90%. There's generally, this class has 2 grades. It has the really good grade because you did well, and it has the oops, I forgot to do anything grade. And there's very few people that get the oops, I forgot to do anything grade. So I generally try to trace you down a little bit. So the college academic integrity policy, really in this class, if you can find a way to cheat on these projects you have to do, you're going to be doing really, really well. And the reality is, by seniors now, you're not going to be cheating, hopefully. So Title IX compliance, that we keep revising that every semester. We're really just saying we want to be fair to everybody, and that's kind of the intent behind Title IX, is that we give equality to everybody. So my statement on that is, I will equally torture everybody in this class, especially Amber, because she's right up here, and I didn't have her for a semester, so now I don't know what to do. So if you look on the last page of the syllabus, then it's got a breakdown of a tentative schedule. It's got the points available each week and kind of gives kind of a little quick breakdown. So we go through the material pretty quickly in the book. The reality is, what a lot of students will do is they will go through quickly and do all the quizzes. They'll go through the materials in the book and do some of these ahead of time. And in this case, I'm okay with it. Discussion boards are a little harder because we do want that kind of collaborative effort looking at things. So no, the final, we will find times during the final to do an interview. Probably about half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on your project. So it takes a lot of time when we have 23 people to do those. So we will find times on schedule, and I will find some kind of a scheduling tool that I actually like. I have tried like 12 different ones, and none of them seem to work very well, but we'll figure out a plan for that. So that's the course in a nutshell. It is not intended to be punitive. It is supposed to be educational. And we're going to learn a lot of new things. So we're going to learn, one of the pieces we get out of any of these courses is we get a lot of terminology. And so, again, you're going to get a lot of terminology out of here. And what you're going to find out is companies use the same ideas, and you'll call them 12 different names. And so, Amber, because you're here, I'm going to pick on you. There's a surprise. So Cooper Nuclear probably does exactly the same things as General Electric when they design some of their systems. But we call them all different types of names and different procedures. And so part of that is seeing what's applicable to the organization you're going to work with. If you worked with, Pets United, Lost, whatever, they would probably have their own nomenclature for a lot of these items. And there are subtle differences between some of the models, and some of the models will work better with different types of organizations and different types of businesses. But the reality is, sometimes we throw out these terms just to kind of make things a little more interesting. One of the reasons I do like this book, and I will apologize up front because I will continue to call it Rocky Mountain just because it's whatever, it's my brain focuses. Instead of Ridgeline Mountain Outfitters, I will call RMO Rocky Mountain. So if you hear me do that, you'll go, oh yeah, that's what he's done. So they focus on a company, and they work the same company throughout the entire book. So it sees every piece of it. And I like that idea that we have that little bit of continuity. So